Welcome to Beautiful Thrift Homemaking. I'm Linda, and I've been reading through a vintage cookbook that was published originally in 1917, just on the brink of the U.S. joining the First World War. And so we're learning a little bit about life during that era in the United States, and we have started in the month of June because June is the traditional month for weddings. And in this book, even though it's a cookbook, it's also an instructional novel. So there's a storyline following the first year of married life of a young bride named Bettina. Her husband is Bob, and Bettina is sharing her homemaking with us, especially her meal plans and her recipes and her life in and around the kitchen. So for the month of April, I am going to be combining. This is a little different than my usual because I actually will be reading several chapters because the storyline is can be naturally grouped together. We have a visit. Bettina and Bob are being visited by a young niece named Mildred. She is Polly's daughter, and I think Polly, if I remember correctly, is Bob's sister who lives in another city. So we are going to read about what happens when young Mildred visits Polly and helps her in the kitchen, and all the menus and foods that they make together, and some of the tips that Bettina shares for cooking the various things. So I'm going to move my bookmark here to the end to mark my place there. And we will begin with chapter 131, Mildred's Spring Vacation. And let me just hydrate first. What I have here is some lemon balm tea. I have wild lemon balm growing in my yard. It was here when we moved to this property about 15 years ago. We had lemon balm growing wild in the back area, and it's still there, still sprouting up here and there. And so I've just been picking a couple of sprigs of it each day and making myself a couple cups of iced tea with it. So that's what I'm drinking right now. Mildred's spring vacation. I was so afraid Father wouldn't let me come, Aunt Bettina, exclaimed Mildred after the first greetings, and your letter sounded so jolly about the cooking and all. Well, if Father had said no, I should simply have died. Died, Mildred? Asked Bob. I must say you look fairly healthy to me, too much so to pine away soon. I don't intend to die now, Uncle Bob. I'm just going to live and have the most fun helping Aunt Bettina. I like that so much better than lessons. I brought 2 aprons in my suitcase. Mother said I acted as if I wouldn't meet anybody in a 3-day visit but your kitchen stove. And to tell the truth, Aunt Bettina, I just hope I won't. I'd rather help you cook than see sights or meet people. Oh dear, exclaimed Bob tragically, just when I was counting on you to climb to the dome of the Capitol with me too. Why was I ever born? You have to do your climbing alone, I'm afraid, Mildred replied cheerfully. Now, Aunt Bettina, may I set the table for you? Do show me what you are going to have for dinner. Little custards? Oh, how cunning. Made in molds and served cold with maple syrup? Aunt Bettina, I just believe I could make that dessert myself. Will you teach me when I'm here? The dinner consisted of round steak in casserole, baked potatoes, lettuce salad, Bettina dressing, steamed custard, maple syrup, and coffee. And we have the recipes for the round steak in casserole, the lettuce salad, Bettina dressing, and steamed custard. And as usual, we'll look at all the recipes in detail at the end of the reading of the chapters. So we get kind of the story more together, and then we can discuss recipes. Chapter 132, Helping Bettina. Mildred helped me get the dinner tonight, said Bettina, as they sat down at the table. Indeed I did, Uncle Bob, exclaimed the little girl delightedly, and I'm having so much fun that I don't ever want to go home. Aunt Bettina is going to show me how to make cookies tomorrow. Is she? Said Bob. Well, don't eat them all up before I get here. Save me 6 fat ones with raisins in. Don't forget the raisins. I set the table, Uncle Bob, and I made the rice croquettes into that cunning shape, and when they were fried, I put in the jelly. Don't they look nice? The most artistic rice croquettes I've ever ate, declared Bob. And wait till you see the dessert. I fixed that. Aunt Bettina showed me how. But I won't tell you what it is yet. I know you'll like it, though. Well, you're a great little helper, Mildred, aren't you? That's just what Aunt Bettina says, and I've learned so many things. I didn't know before that it was easier to cut up marshmallows with the scissors than any other way. Oh, Aunt Bettina, I almost told him about our dessert. Marshmallows? Marshmallows, said Bob. A clue, I do believe. I have it. Marshmallows served with scissors? Oh, Uncle Bob, you're too funny, cried Mildred, shouting with laughter. Appreciated at last, said Bob. For dinner that night they had lamb chops, rice croquettes, creamed peas, bread butter, sponge cake, whipped cream, and coffee. And we have the recipe for the broiled lamb chops, the rice croquettes with jelly, and the sponge cake with whipped cream. Chapter 133, Helping with a Company Dinner. Cooking a company dinner is such fun, sighed Mildred. I like the dinner part, but I always wish that the company would stay away at the last minute. Oh, you like Mr. Jackson, Mildred. He's one of Uncle Bob's best friends, and so nice and jolly. The jolly men always like to tease, and the ones who aren't jolly are always cross. I don't intend to get married myself. I'm going to live in a nice little bungalow like this one and do my own cooking. Will you live there all alone? Asked Bettina. I'll adopt some children, 7 or 8, I think, all girls. I don't want any boys around. Your bungalow will have to be larger than this to accommodate them all if you adopt 7 or 8. I don't want a large one. That would spoil the fun. I'll let the children take turns sleeping on the floor. Children always love to sleep on the floor, and mothers never like to have them do it. I wonder why. Now will you let me brown the flour for the gravy? Yes, dear. Put half a cup of white flour in that frying pan over the fire and keep stirring it constantly until it is a nice brown color, about like powdered cinnamon. This way? Yes, Mildred. A little darker than that, but keep stirring it so it won't burn. There, that's exactly right. That evening, Bettina served leg of lamb with browned potatoes, gravy, lettuce and egg salad, strawberry shortcake, cream, and coffee. And we have the recipes for her leg of lamb and browned potatoes, gravy, and the egg and lettuce salad. Chapter 134, Mildred's Day. I helped to make the cunning little biscuits, Uncle Bob, explained Mildred at dinner. You did, said Bob, feigning astonishment. You rolled them out with a rolling pin, I suppose, and... Oh, no, Uncle Bob. You ought never to use a rolling pin, Aunt Bettina says, said Mildred in a horrified tone, as if she had been cooking for the first families for a score of years. Good cooks always pat down the dough. They never roll it out. Well, what do you do first? Stir up the dough with a spoon? No, indeed, you use a knife. Then you pat the dough down and cut out the dear little biscuits with a biscuit cutter and put them side by side in a nicely buttered pan. I know how. But you don't butter the pan, said Mildred triumphantly, or flour it either. Aunt Bettina says that lots of people think the pan has to be buttered or floured, but they're wrong. It's lots better to put the biscuits into a nice clean pan. But don't they stick to it and burn? No, indeed, they don't burn a bit. Look at these, said Mildred, delighted to find the opportunity to impart some of her newly acquired knowledge. Well, what else did you help Aunt Bettina make? These nice stuffed onions. It was fun to make them, even though I don't like onions. I ground up the dry bread that Aunt Bettina keeps in the jar by the stove. Well, you can tell Mother Polly that Aunt Bettina will make a good cook of you yet. For dinner that night they had rolled stuffed steak, rolled stuffed rolled stuffed steak, potatoes au gratin, stuffed onions, sour cream biscuits, currant jelly, sliced bananas, cream, and coffee. And we have the recipes for the stuffed onions, the filling, and the white sauce, and sour cream biscuits. All right, chapter 135, Polly comes for Mildred. So, you've been teaching Mildred to cook? Asked Polly as they sat down to dinner. Oh, Mother, I've learned so much, cried Mildred with enthusiasm. And when I'm married, I'm going to have a dear little kitchen just like Aunt Betty's. Aunt Betty does know the very best way to do everything. Why, Mother, I think she's a better cook than Selma, and not half so cross when I bother. Bother, said Bettina. Why, Mildred, you've been a real help to me. I hope so, laughed Polly, but not so sure. I'm not so sure. Children never worry me. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. That's Polly speaking. I hope so, laughed Polly, but I'm not so sure. Children never worry me. It's fortunate, isn't it? But I don't see how on earth anyone can cook with a child in the kitchen. I wanted Selma to teach Mildred, but I hadn't the heart to insist when she objected to the plan. Selma, said Mildred with scorn. Why, Mother, Selma doesn't even know enough to line her cake pans with waxed paper. She butters 'em, and I don't believe we have a spatula in the whole house. A what? Said Polly in a puzzled tone. I don't believe I... Don't you know what a spatula is, Mother? Asked Mildred didactically. Why, it's one of those flattened out spoon things to use in the kitchen. We ought to have one. And, Mother, you ought to see how much mayonnaise Aunt Bettina makes at a time. It'll keep, you know. Goodness, said Polly tragically. What a dreadful thing it will be to live with a child who knows more than I do. For dinner that night they had baked potatoes, veal chops, scalloped onions, bread butter, mocha cake, mocha icing, and coffee. And we have the recipe for the scalloped onions, the mocha cake, and the mocha icing. Well, I look forward to hearing that one. Chapter 136, Mildred's Plans. Okay, this will be our final reading. I suppose that when we get home again, Mildred will be insisted we reorganize our household along the lines of yours, Bettina, laughed Polly. I can just hear Selma's outbursts at the idea of any changes in her department. But you can always smile Selma out of her spells, Mother, coaxed Mildred. And just think, Selma doesn't even know what a fireless cooker is. We'll have to explain it to her. What can you make in a fireless cooker, Mildred? Asked Polly of her little daughter, who was fairly bursting with her newly acquired information. Oh, Mother, this roast, isn't it good? Aunt Betty kept it in the cooker almost 4 hours, and think how much gas that saved. Well, I'll admit that such an item would appeal to your father, Mildred, replied Polly, so I think I'll leave it to you to get around him and Selma. I'm sure, she continued, turning to Bob, that such an undertaking can reasonably be expected to occupy Mildred for some time. But I do like the roast. The roast, said Bob. It is good, Polly, but you needn't think that this is a company meal, especially. Why, Bettina gives me company dinners every day. For dinner that night they had pot roast, gravy, boiled rice, apple and nut salad, chocolate pie, and coffee. And we do have the recipes here for the pot roast, the gravy, soup, rice. Okay. And so we'll go back to chapter 131 now. And actually, I'm going to even backtrack slightly more because we do have 2 pictures, which we have only at the start of each new month. So here's a picture for the month of April along with its accompanying poem. And then here's a little picture of young Mildred with her apron and cooking cap on. And there she is with Polly in the kitchen at the table doing some kind of preparation there. The poem for April has to do with gardening. April, tell me, housewife, blithe and fair, how does your garden grow? Crisp and green the lettuce there, onions row by row, radishes beyond compare. Spring and I with tender care watch them well, you know. Okay, so chapter 131, and by the way, welcome to spring if it's just beginning to be spring where you are. I know I'm enjoying some sunny days here in Northern California, along with some rain showers. So we have spring vacation for little Mildred, and she's going to help with the round steak in casserole, and that is for 3 portions. So that would have been Bob, Bettina, and Mildred. So you would take 1 pound of round steak, cut 1 inch thick, a half a cup flour, 1 tablespoon onion cut fine, 2 tablespoons green pepper cut fine, 1 cup of diced carrots, 2 cups of water, and 2 teaspoons salt. Place the meat, which has been wiped with a damp cloth, upon a meat board. Cut into 4 pieces. Pound the flour into the meat on both sides, using a meat pounder or the side of a heavy saucer. Butter the casserole, add a layer of meat, then onions and green peppers. Add the carrots, add the salt to the water, and pour over the meat. Cover closely. Place in a moderate oven and allow to cook slowly for 2 hours. More water may be needed before the meat is done. Serve in the casserole. And for 3 portions of lettuce salad, 6 pieces of lettuce and a half a teaspoon of salt. Arrange the lettuce, which has been washed and chilled, upon 3 plates. Sprinkle the lettuce with salt and serve with the following dressing. Bettina dressing, 2/3 cup salad dressing, 1 teaspoon of olive oil, 2 tablespoons chopped pickle, 1 tablespoon chopped pimento, 1 tablespoon pimento ketchup. Well, that's a new one to me. Not sure what that one is. 1/4 a cup celery cut fine, 2 tablespoons of nut meats cut fine, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of paprika. Excuse me. Next, you're going to beat the salad dressing. Add the oil, pickle, pimento, ketchup, celery, nut meat, salt, and paprika. Beat 1 minute. Pour 3 tablespoons of the mixture over each portion of the lettuce and serve very cold. So that was quite different for a little salad, wasn't it? The steamed custard for 4 custards. 1½ cups milk, 2 eggs, 3 tablespoons sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon vanilla extract, 1/4 teaspoon lemon extract, and 1/8 teaspoon of grated nutmeg. Beat the eggs, add the sugar, salt, vanilla, and lemon extract. Mix thoroughly. Butter 4 custard cups. Fill a pan 4 inches deep with hot, not boiling, water. Set the cups in the pan and place in a moderately slow oven for 35 or 40 minutes, or until a knife inserted in the custard comes out clean. Serve cold with maple syrup poured over it. Now the slow oven was, as opposed to a moderate oven, I'm trying to see the slow oven. I did have info on the temperature for that. Recent chapter, so I'm looking through my notes to let you know. But I don't see it right away. I'm going to say that it's going to be less than 325 because a moderate oven is 325 to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So a slow oven's going to be less than 325. So maybe 275 to 300, I would maybe guess. And also I noticed in this recipe that there's the combination of the vanilla extract and the lemon extract together in the same dessert. And as I said in the past, I tried that in one of her recipes and didn't really care for that combination too much in what it was in that I had made, which now I don't remember what it was. But there you have it. It is pretty common for her to include those two together. Next we have the broiled lamb chops. 3 portions again. 3 lamb chops, 1 tablespoon butter, 1 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon paprika, and 1/8 teaspoon of parsley. If you're just joining us for the first time, you'll notice that paprika is one of the more prevalent seasonings in all of her recipes. Wipe and trim the chops. Place on a hot tin pan 4 inches from a direct hot flame under a broiler. Cook 2 minutes. Turn and thoroughly cook the other side for 2 minutes. Lower the flame a little, add the salt and pepper, and cook for 8 minutes more. A little longer if the chops are very thick. Remove to a warm platter. Dot with butter, add the parsley, and serve immediately. How about lamb chops for you? Have you had those before? It's not something I've ever made. Now the rice croquettes with jelly sounds very different also. 3 croquettes. All right. So this is some kind of a little patty or let's just take a look. All right. 1 cup of steamed rice. 1 egg yolk, 1 tablespoon butter, and 1/8 teaspoon paprika. 1/4 teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon chopped parsley, 3 tablespoons flour, and 2 tablespoons of grape jelly. Mix the steamed rice, the egg yolk, butter, paprika, salt, and parsley. Shape into flat discs 1 inch thick and 3 inches in diameter. So there you have the shape. It's a flat disc 1 inch thick and 3 inches in diameter. Roll in flour. Make an indentation in the center of each with a spoon to hold the jelly. Fry in hot, deep fat until brown. Drain the wrong side up. Heat in a hot oven and serve hot. Place a cube of jelly in the center of each. Okay, so that was how Mildred was able to help. She put the jelly in the top of each one of those little impressions in the croquette. So you can see some ways that you can have children help you also through these chapters. Sponge cake with whipped cream, 3 portions. 3 slices of stale cake, 3 by 3 by 1 inch. 8 marshmallows cut in cubes. That's interesting, isn't it? Because our marshmallows kind of come in cubes already. So again, marshmallows are a little bit of a mystery to me. I did look it up, and mostly the information I found said that store-bought marshmallows weren't really available yet. And yet I think that they must have been, because she uses them quite a bit in her recipes, but doesn't give a recipe for making homemade marshmallows, which I find a little unusual in that case. But maybe the marshmallows are made in a sheet pan and sold as a more of a whole sheet of them, and so she's going to cut them into cubes here for this recipe. 3 tablespoons of canned cherries, 3 tablespoons of the cherry juice, 3 tablespoons of whipping cream, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla, and 1½ tablespoons of sugar. Beat the cream until stiff. Add the vanilla, marshmallows, and sugar. Arrange the cake in glass sherbet glass dishes. Place a tablespoon of cherries and a tablespoon of juice on each slice. Place 1½ tablespoons of the whipped cream mixture on each portion. Allow to stand in a cold place for 5 minutes. All right, so a way to use up stale cake, as if we ever have any stale cake around. But you'll notice going through this year that we have seen cake on the menu, almost every night, it seems. Not really, but it was very frequent. And so I imagine that there would be stale bread and stale cake available for using in these recipes, so as not to be wasteful with any leftovers. Next, we have the company dinner, so to speak. So we have the leg of lamb and browned potatoes. For 4 portions, it's 3-pound leg of lamb, 6 potatoes, 1 tablespoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon paprika, 2 tablespoons of bacon fat, and 1/3 cup of boiling water. And this is for 4 portions because Polly has joined them. So allow the lamb to stand in cold water for 10 minutes. Remove and wipe dry. Place the fat in a frying pan. Add the meat and cook until thoroughly browned on all sides. Place in the fireless cooker or a slow oven and surround the meat with the potatoes. Sprinkle with the salt and paprika. Add the water. If in the cooker, place the heated discs under and over the meat. Cook 2 hours. Okay. So the fireless cooker was introduced in the beginning of the series of stories, very much in the beginning, and we learned about it in chapter 7. So if you want to go back and learn all about a fireless cooker, it's basically the predecessor for today's crock pots or slow cookers or instant pots. All right, now you have gravy for 4 portions, 4 tablespoons of browned flour, and you see that's what little Mildred was helping to stir over the heat. 1 tablespoon butter, 1 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper, 1½ cups of meat stock and water mixed. Remove the meat from the pan in which it was cooked. Also remove the potatoes and add sufficient water to the stock to the pan to make 1½ cups altogether. Melt the butter, add the browned flour and a tablespoon of the stock. Mix well and add the salt and pepper. Add the remaining stock. Cook, stirring constantly for 2 minutes. Pour into a heated gravy dish and serve at once. So that's to be served over the leg of lamb and browned potatoes. I'm sure that's very tasty. And then this peculiar egg and lettuce salad for 4 is made with 8 pieces of lettuce, 4 hard-cooked eggs, 4 radishes, 4 young onions, 2 teaspoons of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of paprika, 1/4 teaspoon of celery salt, 8 tablespoons of salad dressing. And just to back up a little also, we had some recipes for the salad dressing way back in the beginning, and we've had some variations on it also throughout our study. So for this recipe, 8 tablespoons of salad dressing. You're going to arrange 2 pieces of lettuce on each plate. Slice an egg, a radish, and an onion, and arrange these upon the lettuce leaves. Sprinkle each portion with 1/4 of the seasoning. Place 2 tablespoons of salad dressing on each portion, and have all the ingredients cold before combining. All right, another interesting salad. So instead of being a tossed or mixed salad, or chopped salad, so this is a variation. If you're bored with your salads and you want something different, you might want to try the one that I just read or earlier, or this one. All right, so now on Mildred's Day, we have stuffed onions. For 4 portions, we have 4 onions, 1/2 cup of bread crumbs, 1 tablespoon of tomato pulp, 1 tablespoon butter, 1 teaspoon parsley, 1 tablespoon pimento, 1 egg yolk, 1/2 cup of cooked celery, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Wash and peel the onions. Cook for 10 minutes in boiling water. Rinse with cold water to make them firm. Push out the centers. Place the onions in a well-buttered baking dish and fill each onion with filling. Place in a moderate oven for 20 minutes. The filling is made by mixing the crumbs, the tomato pulp, the butter, the parsley, the pimento, the salt, the egg yolks, and the celery. Cook for 1 minute. Fill each onion case carefully with the mixture. Then pour the following sauce about the onions before placing them in the oven. So it's a white sauce. And again, sauces, the white sauces were covered extensively at the beginning because they are a key to any cooking during this era, according to Bettina. All right, so white sauce, 4 portions, is made with 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of flour, 1/4 a teaspoon of salt, 1/6 a teaspoon paprika, 1 cup of milk. Melt the butter, add the flour, salt, and paprika, mix well, add the milk, and cook for 1 minute. All right, now on to our sour cream biscuits for 4 portions. We have 2 cups flour, 2 cups of flour, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, which is the same as 1 tablespoon, 3 tablespoons of fat, 1/4 teaspoon soda, 2/3 cup sour milk, which you could use buttermilk, for example, for that. Mix the flour, salt, and baking powder. Cut in the fat with a knife. Add the soda to the milk. And when the effervescence, ooh, effervescing, when the effervescing ceases, boy, that's not easy to say. When the effervescing ceases, add slowly to the dry ingredients. All the milk may not be needed. When a soft dough is formed, toss onto a floured board. Pat into shape, cut with a biscuit cutter, and place side by side on a tin pan or baking sheet. Bake 15 minutes in a moderately hot oven. So again, we have 325 to 350 for a moderate oven. And Mildred had already explained almost all of those tips on how to make biscuits the proper way. All right, and now we have scalloped onions. So another onion dish. And you remember we talked about onions and how you can buy them in bulk at like a restaurant supply store and really get a good bargain on them. So that would make a really good side dish if your family likes onions, to try some of these variations on onions. Scalloped onions for 4 portions. 1 cup onions, 1 quart of water, 2 tablespoons butter and 2 tablespoons flour, 1 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon pepper, 1 cup milk, and 1/4 cup buttered crumbs. Wash and peel the onions. Cook in 1 quart water. Allow to boil 5 minutes. Change the water and continue boiling 10 minutes. Change the water again, and when thoroughly cooked, about 15 minutes more, remove from the fire and drain. Melt the butter, add the flour and salt and mix thoroughly. Add the milk and cook 1 minute. Add the onions and pour the mixture into a well-buttered baking dish. Place the buttered crumbs on top of the onions and bake in a moderate oven for 20 minutes. And I would venture a guess that that would be very tasty, these scalloped onions. I did want to report that I tried the recipe for the scalloped carrots, I think it was for our Easter meal as a side dish, and my family liked them very well. And so I was surprised. Both my husband and daughter enjoyed those carrots with the cream white sauce on top and the buttered breadcrumbs on top. So mocha cake, here we go, 12 portions. 1/3 cup butter, 1 cup sugar, 2 eggs, 1 cup strong coffee, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla, 2 cups flour, 3 teaspoons baking powder. Cream the butter, add the sugar and cream the mixture. Add the egg yolks, mix well, and add the coffee, vanilla, flour, and baking powder. Beat for 2 minutes. Add the stiffly beaten egg whites. Pour the mixture into 2-layer cake pans prepared with waxed paper. Bake 25 minutes in a moderate oven. When cool, spread with the mocha icing. I just might try this. Mocha icing, 12 portions, 4 tablespoons strong boiling coffee, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 1½ cups of powdered sugar. Mix the vanilla with the coffee. Add the powdered sugar slowly until the proper consistency to spread. Spread over 1 layer and place the upper layer on the layer. Place the icing on the top layer and on the sides. More sugar may be needed. All right, we have one more. So we have the pot roast with its gravy, soup, and rice. Pot roast for 4 portions, 2½ pounds of beef. A rump roast is suggested. 2 tablespoons bacon drippings, 3 tablespoons flour, 1 bay leaf, 4 cloves, 2 teaspoons of salt, 1/2 teaspoon pepper, 1/4 cup of diced carrots, 1/4 cup of diced turnips, 2 tablespoons chopped onions, 1/4 cup celery, and 3 cups of boiling water. Place the baking drippings in a frying pan. Roll the beef in the flour, and when the fat is hot, add the beef and brown thoroughly on all sides. Place the meat in a kettle and add the vegetables. Pour the water in the frying pan to remove any fat. Pour all over the meat. Add the bay leaf, cloves, and salt. Cover closely and allow to cook very slowly for 3½ hours. Turn the meat after the 2nd hour. This is a good fireless cooker recipe. For the gravy, 1 cup stock, 1 tablespoon flour, and 1 tablespoon water. Remove the meat from the kettle, strain the stock into a bowl. To the flour, add the water. Mix well and gradually add the stock. Mix and cook 1 minute. Pour the gravy over the meat and reserve the remaining stock and vegetables for soup. And so for soup, you're going to strain the vegetables through the strainer. And the vegetables are those carrots and turnips and onion that were cooked with the roast. So you're going to strain the vegetables through the strainer, pressing thoroughly to remove all the pulp. Add the stock and 1/2 cup of water. Reheat and serve for dinner with croutons or salted wafers. So isn't that interesting that she took those veggies that she roasted with the meat and has made a soup out of them to serve along with the roast, and the gravy is on the roast. And then she has rice, which is made probably in the typical way. It says to use 1/2 cup of rice, 2 cups of boiling water, 1 teaspoon salt, 1/8 teaspoon paprika, and 1 tablespoon of butter. When the water's boiling, add the salt, add the rice, and allow it to boil for 20 minutes. More water may be needed. Stir occasionally with a fork. Pour into a strainer and rinse thoroughly with cold water. Toss into a buttered vegetable dish. Sprinkle with paprika and dot with butter. Then set in a moderate oven for 15 minutes. Okay, well, those are the recipes for all those chapters. That was like 6 chapters, I think, that we did there, which is a marathon for us. And I appreciate you sticking with me for 37 minutes now. So I'll say goodbye, and please join me next time. We have a few more chapters for the month of April, and then we'll round it out, finishing this book, because here I am. I'm this far along, and so we only have a little bit more to go. We're going to finish April and May, and that will be the end of 1,000 Ways to Please a Husband, with Bettina's Best Recipes from 1917. So thanks for joining me. I hope that you picked up some tips for your own kitchen. Bye-bye.